Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are committed to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Now, this conversation comes up about Black Americans, especially people who call themselves pro-Black or Black activists, and their choices of mates. So, Nikki Giovanni recently passed, and I used to read her poetry many years ago. Nikki Giovanni was a staunch pro-Black activist. She spoke Black, she talked Black, she wrote Black. She was a Black activist, especially in the late 70s and the 80s. She was very outspoken about police brutality, about Black love. She believed in Black love. And so it never occurred to me that she was not authentic and authentically Black. And I still believe that she was. I think that she was sincere. But the challenge of speaking Black, talking Black, and living white, sleeping white really does come up on some Black people. And the question is, for me, can you truly be pro-Black and sleep white? Now, when I'm talking about pro-Black, I'm not talking about being proud of being Black and I'm proud and I'm not trying to be white or anything like that. This is just who I fell in love with. I'm talking about people who are speaking truth to the power structure of the United States, critiquing the power structure and pointing out things that's wrong with the power structure, police brutality, things like that she used to speak out against. Because as a Black person, you have to absorb police brutality, job discrimination, housing discrimination, being the last hired and the first fired on a job, and constantly having people undermining your competence, your sincerity, and your ability to do the simplest task. That's being Black. That's the cost of living Black. But then along comes this white person who's fascinated with you, maybe in love with you, and now they're offering you a job making big money, and you're moving into the suburbs, and your circle of friends are now affluent, white, and maybe even Black people too. And now, can you still truly speak to the issues of being Black? You're still a Black person, but the issues that concerned you and confronted you before you got involved with this prosperous white person may not be the issues that you're concerned with now, because you don't have to worry about paying the rent. You don't have to worry about getting a job. You don't have to worry about crime in the neighborhood. You're free to be the person that you would have been if you had never had to worry about those things in the first place. If you had never had to worry about being Black. If you didn't have to wear around your Blackness all the time like a sore thumb. So the question is now, can you speak to those people who are still having the issues that you had before you got involved with that white person? I asked the co-pilot if Nikki Giovanni had been pro-Black, and the answer was yes. Nikki Giovanni was a prominent figure in the Black arts movement. She was often referred to as the princess of Black poetry due to her influential work that highlighted Black resilience and addressed significant events like the lynching of Emmett Till and the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Her poetry and activism made her a defining voice for the civil rights and Black empowerment. So she was considered pro-Black. Yet she was married to this woman right here, a white woman named Jenny Fowler. So this is an intersection of race and sexual identity, both of which have activists advocating for their race or their sexual identity. So that put Nikki Giovanni in both camps. And for anybody who wants to come on and say, oh, you should leave people alone. People can be with whoever they want to. Whoever they want to be with is nobody's business. And a blah, 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 blah. I fully know that. I know full well that people can be with whomever they want to be with. But when Black men are activists or be one or pro-black and they are with white women, they get critiqued. So black women are no more to be critiqued than black men. Now on with the story. Nikki Giovanni, born June 7th, 1943, was a poet, writer, commentator, activist, and educator. One of the world's best known African American poets. Her work includes poetry anthologies, poetry recordings, and nonfiction essays, and covers topics ranging from race and social issues to children's literature. She gained initial fame in the late 1960s as one of the foremost authors of the Black arts movement, influenced by the civil rights movement and Black power movement of the period. Her early work provides a strong militant African American perspective, leading one writer to dub her the poet of the Black Revolution. During the 1970s, she began writing children's literature and co-founded a publishing company, Nick Tom Limited, to provide an outlet for other African American women writers. Over subsequent decades, her work discussed social issues, human relationships, and hip hop. Poems such as Knoxville, Tennessee, and Nicarosa have been frequently republished in anthologies and other collections. So she has received a number of honorary degrees from various colleges and universities. She received her bachelor's degree from Fisk University, which is an HBCU, and she did further studies at the University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University. Now, she was a distinguished English professor at Virginia Tech. I do not believe that she had the required credentials that you would normally have to be a professor at a major university. But what she had was a hookup. So that brings us back to the white woman. Nikki Giovanni was a university distinguished professor emerita at Virginia Tech. She was recruited by Virginia Fowler, a now retired professor in Tech's English department, whom she later married. Giovanni retired in 2022. From the outside looking in, it looks like Nikki Giovanni had the heart and the courage to be an activist and a spokesperson for Black people. But her passion was poetry, writing poetry. And Black poets don't make any money. I mean, they just don't make a lot of money. And the white ones make a lot of money if they're teaching at a university and they're publishing books, which is what Nikki Giovanni started to do. But you have to have connections to do that. Nikki Giovanni, according to Google, was worth $85 million at her death. So that means that she worked very hard. She worked at Virginia Tech for 35 years. But she had to give up some of that activism because at the end of the day, you got to eat and you got to have somewhere to live. She has a son, a handsome son, and that son had to be taken care of. So you have to make a decision. Am I going to be a broke activist? Or am I going to go in another direction so I can provide for myself and my child and maybe even make a greater impact in some other way? I do believe that she was well respected. She never turned on Black people like some of them do. She never turned on her people. But the question still remains, how much of a voice for Blackness can you be when you're living with a white person, really living a luxurious life? If you got $85 million, that white woman got money too. That's luxurious life. So you have to make the call. This is not to be critical of her. This is just to say that there is a challenge when you are speaking Black and sleeping white. But that white person may have helped you get on your feet. It may be the best person in the whole wide world. But at the end of the day, it's still a challenge. And you are going to get the side eye from Black people, the very people that you are trying to speak for or be an advocate for. It's still a challenge because then your credibility comes into question. Now, that's what I think, but let me know what you think. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up. Have a good evening.